What's up, you guys, and welcome to Nothing to See Here, the brand new podcast. It's starting now. This is crazy. This is my very first podcast. First of all, before we get started, I want to give a huge shout out to Jelly Duck 100 for that awesome intro music. I'll be sure to put his channel link in the description below so you can go give him a follow, and maybe he can make some music for you. He's a very good and very talented individual, so huge shout out to him. Now, before we get on with the show, I want to try to explain what this show is going to be about. A couple of years ago, I wrote a story about my life in some way, shape, or form, a degree that I possibly could muster. I tried to tell my story in a sort of way in book form, but I was terrible at it. It was called, I think it was called Stuck in My Head, and I made a few copies for a few friends and family. And either I left a whole bunch of stuff out, things were out of order, and I feel like it's a lot easier for me if I just start a podcast where I just tell a bunch of stories. Now, things are going to get dark. There's a lot of crazy stuff that I've never told anybody before, and I feel like a podcast would be a perfect place to start and just let it all out. So, so that's how we're going to do this. I'm just going to sit here and talk to you guys, and hope you guys enjoy it. So we're going to start with the early years. I feel like that's a good place to start. You know, if you're going to start somewhere, might as well start at the beginning. Let's see. I'm trying to remember here. I was born on August 5th, 1998 at the medical center in my hometown of Macon, Georgia. I've never left Macon. I've always been here. My mother's name is Wendy and my father's name is Tyson, but we all call him by his middle name, Brad. They both met, I want to say in 1994, and they got married a year later on April Fool's Day. Coincidence? I'm kidding. It's a weird coincidence they got married on April Fool's Day, knowing that the relationship wouldn't last, unfortunately. But they found out they were having me on Thanksgiving Day, 1997, and they were all excited, I assume, and extremely nervous. I mean, I'd be nervous if I found out I was having a kid. So, and the thing about, my mother always took pictures of me. I mean, I have a whole bunch of baby books, pictures, all in one giant cabinet in my living room. So my whole childhood was pretty well documented through photography and whatnot. I really don't remember much. Some pictures that I see nowadays, I'm like, where did this come from? Like some of my old baby pictures. But I want to read you something. One of the baby books, I think the book is called My First 3 Years, I believe. And I kind of wrote them down here for me to look at. And there's a section for both of my parents to write like a little letter to their son. And I'm going to read you both of them. This one is from Mommy. That's how it says it in the book. Okay. I wish for you to grow up healthy and happy, to have a good relationship with God and your parents. I wish for you to find a career that fulfills you and your wife supports you. I wish for you to be able to see the humor in things and be comfortable with yourself. I wish you to have respect for nature and the courage to stand up for your beliefs. And that was my mother's note. All right, now I'm going to read my dad's note. This one just cracks me up because it's pretty accurate. All right, from Daddy. I wish him to put God first in his life and keep in touch with Mama and Daddy when he moves out. I would like to see him start or join a band and get really famous. Of course, I'll help him manage the band. Just kidding. On a serious note, he can do whatever he wants as far as an occupation, and I will still be proud. You're 5 months old now and growing fast. Don't grow too fast. Me and Mama want you to stay little for a long time. And those are the notes. Now, I don't remember a whole lot from my childhood, like I said before. All I see are just the photographs that they took, over the course of time. I do remember my dad scaring me all the time. Now, back in the day, my dad loves horror movies. He still loves horror movies. He loves scary things. It's what got me into horror movies and scary things myself. But he loved horror movies, and he loved to scare me all the time. He had masks that he would traumatize me with, and I don't blame him for it. I mean, I still to this very day, I still am sort of traumatized from that. But I don't hold it to him anymore. It's not that big a deal. Because I myself am now loving horror movies, and I'm gonna end up doing the same thing. It's just gonna keep going for generation to generation. But I do feel he could have eased up on it, especially in the early years, and probably maybe got better with it as I grew up. I just feel like he might have started it too soon, but I don't know. But I think well, I have a lot of fears, okay? And one of the fears is spiders, obviously, and my dad is to blame for half of that fear, and the other half was my fault because I watched like movies like Eight-Legged Freaks, all the movies that have spiders in it that freaked me out as a kid, and I blame my dad half just because of the fact that he had this little jumping remote. We talked about this the other day. He had this little jumping remote control. Well, it wasn't remote control, but we had this little jumping spider that, when you push this little button, it would hop. And it looks so real, I guess. From a kid's perspective, everything looks more real than it does to an adult. And I would just flip out over that. Like, I would be brought to tears to that thing. He had masks. I think he had like a Jason mask that he would freak me out with. He had a Michael Myers mask, I believe, and he also had a Sting mask. The wrestler Sting, with the white face and the black paint that goes along with it. I was traumatized by that as a kid as well, because I would just be sitting in the living room minding my own business, and he'll just kind of peek around the corner with his mask on, and I would just start crying right off the bat, and that would be the end of it. But I don't remember much with my parents together. Because like I said, they've been separated for a long, long time, and my dad's been remarried a couple times, and they got divorced in 2002. I was way too young to really know what was going on, but I stayed with my mom. I still stay with my mom while my dad moved away. He moved in with a roommate named Kenny. And occasionally I would go over to his house, to the apartment, and see them. I would still have visitation rights to go see my dad. Like every other weekend or something at the time. And I think it was there where I saw my first horror movie, and that was Halloween, I believe. And his roommate Kenny had like a little drum set, and that's where I got interested in drums from that. And he had guitars and instruments everywhere. And he had little guitar picks that he would always give me. And I remember specifically, I don't know why, but when I was a kid, I would call a guitar pick, I would call them cable guys. The movie Cable Guy with Jim Carrey? I would call guitar picks cable guys. I have no idea why, but that's what I would do. I always wondered, what caused my parents to divorce. Maybe it was a bad relationship. I knew that they fought, but they never fought around me. I know they never fought around me. But I've heard both sides from each of them, and I've just kind of let it go at this point. It makes no sense to me though still, because they just seem so happy together in the photos and videos that I've seen of them. I really don't know what caused it. I see a lot of myself in my father. He and I are pretty much a splitting image of each other. So I really don't know. It still crosses my mind every now and again, but I really don't let it get too much to me because he's happy, and I'm happy for him. I'm happy that he's got a new wife now, and she's really nice, and yeah. But let's move on. I guess I was just too young to understand the whole ordeal anyway. But anyway, moving away from that, also in 2002, one of my real close friends, Daisy, was born in 2002. I've known her now for going on 19 years. This year it'll be 19 years. Also, her sister, her oldest sister, was born in 95, so she was already a couple years old. Her name's Elizabeth. And they now have like 5 kids total. And the reason why we've been so close for so long is because my mom and her mom were really good friends, and back in the day. And I think back in the hospital days, my mother works at the hospital. She worked at like 3 different hospitals, including the medical center, where I was born. Um, Her mom was working at the Waffle House for many, many years, with her mother Susan for a long, long time, and that's kind of where we all kind of hung out. That was our hangout spot. Every other day, we were hanging out at the Waffle House, either eating or just playing. We would play like hide and seek around the building, even though the building is not even like any bigger than the size of an apartment. And we would actually play like hide and seek or tag around the Waffle House. We would hang out with other people that would come in. There's a really, really good guy named Frank. Let me tell you about Frank real quick. There's an old man. He's still alive. I've seen him a few months ago. His name's Frank. And he always, I think he's retired now, but he always goes in the Waffle House and sits and just drinks coffee all day and hangs out with his friends. And I would go over there and bug him. I was a little kid at the time. I was like 5, 6 years old. And I would just sit there and talk with him all day. He's such a nice guy. And we were so annoying little shits. I feel like I bugged him too much, but no, he enjoyed the company, and but yeah, the Waffle House was the place to be at that time. It was also around that time I met this other girl. Now this is an embarrassing story. I'm gonna get into this real quick because the whole point of this podcast is I ramble a lot, so I'm gonna kind of go back and forth. But before I get into that, me and Daisy are really close. I haven't seen her since Thanksgiving. She just got a new job recently, and I don't know, something weird about me and Daisy lately. I don't know. She's gotten to that age where she's not really much the same. She's gotten this attitude going. It's a teenager thing. I don't really blame her for it. I was the same way at her age, but maybe one day we'll come back around and chat again. I don't know. I hope it's just a phase, but I'm not going to get into that too much because it's kind of a sensitive topic. But moving on. But going back to that subject, there was also another girl that I met around 2003-ish. Okay, now we're moving in 2003. Around this time, my mom started dating. She started dating a lot of other random guys. There was I'm trying to remember everybody's names. There was Greg, but that was many years later. There was Nick, which was probably around that time, probably 2002. I think Michael. There was another guy named Michael or Mike. There was somebody else, but I cannot put my finger on it. Anyway, but whoever this guy was had a daughter, and her name was Claire. Now, I really loved Claire. She was my rock. She and I were really, really close. I only knew her for a couple of months, I believe. But okay, this is a super embarrassing story, but I'm going to tell you word for word. This is the honest to God truth. She went to this daycare center, which I believe is still right up the road from my house. And every day we'd pick her up when because her dad was at work, so I'd come home from school and she'd pick her up from daycare. I believe it was like Children's Friends Day. I cannot tell you the name of it, but it's right up the road. It's some like daycare center. But we would always hang out all day and we'd go on trips together. There's a picture of us at Wild Adventures, and I will post that picture on my Instagram. So when you see this podcast, go to my Instagram, and there will be a picture of me and Claire on my Instagram. Okay. Now, I'm a virgin. This is a terrible way to start the story, but okay, I'm trying to remember how old I was. I was maybe 4 or 5. I was probably 5. And I experienced one night that I thought at the time, from like a 5-year-old kid's perspective, I thought was some sort of sexual experience. Now, follow me. Don't start laughing yet. It's embarrassing. This is an embarrassing story, and I've never told this story. It's in my book, which only a few people read, and this is a really embarrassing story, but it's true. It's 100% true. So just bear with me here. So let me set the mood. It was nighttime. Me and Claire were in sleeping bags downstairs in my room, and we were watching Flubber, the movie Flubber with Robin Williams on VHS. And we were just sitting there watching the movie, and I think I suggested the movie just because I loved it so much. But anyway, I'm getting off topic because I really don't want to say this. But she and I were laying there, and at one point we both dared each other. I think that's what we were doing. I think we dared each other. We both dared each other to show our body parts to one another, completely naked. Okay. And this is so embarrassing. So like I would show a body part, and then she would show a body part, and so on and so forth. So like I showed like my butt or something stupid, and like she showed something, and then we just went back and forth. I don't even know why we did this. But anyway, you get the picture. And both my mother and her boyfriend were upstairs. I guess they could hear us giggling downstairs. So they come downstairs to find us both naked as jaybirds, completely naked. And they dressed us back up, put our pajamas back on, and then we went to bed, I think. I think we fell asleep. Either that or I blocked out the rest of the story because I don't remember anything else after that. And I really liked her. I really thought she and I had something. And it's so weird because when you think about it, if my mother married her father, then we would have been brother and sister just by marriage. So it's incest. Anyway, but I really liked her, and I really thought we were gonna get somewhere, and then they broke up. My mom and her dad broke up, and they both moved to Michigan. That's the last I heard of them. They moved to Michigan. I don't know if they moved anywhere else since then, but last I heard from them, they moved to Michigan. And for years now, I've been trying to find her, and I have yet to find her. I was trying to find her on any sort of social media, but I think I started on Facebook. I was trying to find her on Facebook just to try and reach out to her and just start up a new relationship, try and talk to her again, and see if she remembers that story, because I certainly do. I have yet to forget that story. And I never saw her again. But it's just so strange how that all kind of happened. But I think this is a good place to stop the podcast. Even though it's not a very long episode, this is a good place to start the first episode, or stop the first episode, because it's just we're kind of getting into this. We're starting to get into the groove of recording a podcast, telling the story. I got a lot more to tell. If you like the podcast, be sure to smack the thumbs up button. It really helps out. And if you want to subscribe to my YouTube channel, I will very much appreciate it. If you want to follow me on my social medias, I'll put them in the description below. If you want to follow me on Instagram, it's Austin_Taylor TV, all lowercase. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, it's at ATV Taylor, capital A for ATV and capital T for Taylor. Thank you guys for watching the podcast. I'm Austin Taylor. I am your host, and thank you guys so much. We're going to close it off with the outro music once again from Jelly Duck. Again, follow him on his YouTube channel. It'll be in the description below. Thank you guys for watching. Peace.